Governor Jim Justice struck an optimistic tone in his State of the State address, saying he looks forward to working with legislators over the next 2 months. The governor talked quite a bit about education in his speech, even brought out his Greenbrier East High School girls basketball team to help him finish the 50-minute address with a cheer. Among his proposals are allowing students to earn an associate's degree while still in high school, a 13th year option for additional training, and free tuition for community colleges. The governor proposed a 1% pay raise for state employees and gradual elimination of the business inventory tax. He also called on natural gas companies and property owners to come together on a plan to allow drilling in places where not everyone agrees to develop the mineral. Justice also focused on tourism, proposing a $20 million budget increase to better market the state. Don Smith will have more on that topic when he sits down with State Tourism Commissioner Chelsea Ruby in our InSight segment. For more details on the 2018 State of the State address, visit wvpress.org.
You know, Tom, that's a very different tone from last year when the governor, as a Democrat, called for massive tax increases. I mean, that plan, of course, led to an extended special session, to deal with the budget.
Yeah, and Justice used the word miracle multiple times in his speech to describe what has occurred over the last year, saying it was a much dire situation a year ago to becoming a more promising one now.
Right, and the road bond and potential billions of dollars in Chinese investments were other positive notes sounded by the governor last night.
Yeah, and of course the props came out again as well, the famous whiteboards and the infamous silver platter that we saw last session. Only this time when the platter was uncovered, it contained a Hershey Kiss and an 8-track entitled Happy Days. So a much different tone from Governor Justice.
The state's financial future appears brighter according to the 2019 budget proposed by the Justice Administration. The Gazette-Mail's Phil Kabler reports that the $4.35 billion spending plan has $135 million in increased spending, including the first across-the-board pay raises for state employees in 4 years. Revenue officials say higher natural gas prices, stabilized coal markets, and job growth make the collection estimates higher than last year. Construction jobs in particular are on the rise, in part due to the $2.6 billion road bond passed last year. The upturn continues through the 6 years the state plans for, according to the Department of Revenue officials, a significant change from recent years.
And Betsy, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how lawmakers and the various interest groups respond to better budget news after years of belt tightening.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of pent-up demands and a lot of people eager to get a bigger piece of that growing budget pie.
You're absolutely right. And the budget also shows that the state's fortunes remain closely tied to the energy industry, with much of the good news tied to the natural gas and coal prices and production.
And of course, most state employees potentially could be seeing a 1% pay raise if that proposed budget passes, and corrections officers would potentially see a $2,000 a year increase over each of the next 3 years, an important step for those public safety positions.
Absolutely.
Of course, a lot of reaction from lawmakers inside the chamber on the governor's State of the State address as they listen to what the governor had to say to the joint meeting of the West Virginia Senate and the West Virginia House at the state capitol. In the Huntington Herald-Dispatch, Taylor Stuck reports on some of that lawmaker reaction from Cabell County. Delegate Matt Rohrbaugh, a Republican, said he was frankly a little surprised that the governor wasn't more clear on specifics as it relates to job creation and taking advantage of the good economy. West Virginia employment is up. Our state GDP is among the fastest growing in the country. Yet Rohrbaugh felt that Justice was very short on specifics in his speech on how to capitalize on this economic momentum to move the state forward. Rohrbaugh wants to know more specifics of the governor's plan in terms of how he plans to recruit new businesses to the state, but he did pledge to continue to work closely with Governor Justice to continue improving the state economy. Many legislators were also surprised that the governor was short on specifics as related to the correction officer pay raise package that's been discussed and proposed, and the state jail system. Justice did, of course, mention he wanted that 1% pay raise for state employees within his speech. Also touched on his desire to have a 5% raise for teachers across the state over the next 5-year period. Now, Chad Lovejoy, a Democratic delegate from Cabell County, also had some feelings on the raises, saying he didn't feel like the raises went far enough. Lovejoy said he was very disappointed in not hearing anything from the governor about correctional officers and the pay issue there, and that not being addressed within the governor's speech. Legislators did spend a lot of time over the summer looking at the correctional officer pay issue and visiting jails and prisons across the state. Lovejoy expected to hear many more specifics from the governor in terms of that topic. Of course, you can read more about more reaction from lawmakers to the governor's State of the State address at herald-dispatch.com. And to read a full text of the governor's State of the State address, you can find that online at the governor's website at governor.wv.gov.